Hello there, Sully here, the retired techie anchor. Welcome to Transitions. Remember, subscribe to this channel and like and share this video, or else. Well, another day, another spam email. Today's video is once again about a scam email which I received. Now, to be fair, Mackenzie Scott Bezos, the ex-wife of Amazon founder Jeff Bezos, is distributing her wealth to help people who have small businesses which were hurt by Amazon. Now, I use Amazon. Just about everybody I know uses Amazon, and I even have an at-home side hustle helping someone who sells products on Amazon. This video is not any kind of judgment on Amazon or Jeff Bezos, nor is it meant to belittle Mackenzie Scott or the fund she has established. It's simply meant to point out a scam. Now, many people have benefited from the Mackenzie Scott Grant Fund, and they deserved it. However, scamsters are targeting individuals in order to rob them, using this grant as bait. Now, on the surface, this seems legit, but I'm not a small business, nor have I been hurt by Amazon. So why do I get this email? Well, as I have explained in the past, your email address is for sale. So I guess someone bought a list with my email on it and sent this email out to everyone on that list. And this one is pretty good too. I didn't find any spelling or syntax errors and only one or two grammar errors, but it did show up on my spam folder, which means number one, it's a red flag, and number two, it has been making the rounds. Now, this is the email that I got. And you see, as I highlighted it, it said the address it came from was noReply@virtualoffice.com. Has nothing to do with Mackenzie Scott Bezos or with her grant. And the addressee, it simply says you. So the fact that this was found in my spam folder tells me that this is definitely a red flag and definitely a scam. Now it says the end of small business. The Mackenzie Scott Grant was founded with the goal of alleviating the struggles ordinary people face. The company my family founded, Amazon Corporation, now there's no space between founded and the first parenthesis, so there's a slight grammatical error, is destroying small businesses, and at this rate, they capitalize there. There will be no more small businesses in the near future. Okay, slight syntax problem with that. Most people gain employment from small businesses in their various communities. Okay, you can't argue with that. Realizing this crisis, I have decided to pay it forward the best way I can. The Mackenzie Scott Grant will help random, not randomly, random, an adverb, will help random selected individuals with large sums of money. Okay, let me start again. Realizing this crisis, I have decided to pay it forward the best way I can. The Mackenzie Scott Grant will help random selected individuals with large sums of money, which we hope will begin a chain reaction of alleviating poverty and hardships. So there you go, being promised free money for nothing. That's the bait. This may be small-minded to some people, but this is the way we have decided to proceed. So the author of this letter, claiming to be Mackenzie Scott, is trying to sound like a good person. If you receive this email, you have been chosen to benefit from the Mackenzie Scott Grant. Reply with your full names and address for further information. So I guess I have more than one name to go with my single address. Now, a few slight syntax errors, a few grammatical errors. No, only one really. And I wouldn't call it a spelling error. They forgot to put a space in there. They capitalized a word that shouldn't have been capitalized. And they used an adjective instead of an adverb, which is grammatical, not spelling. But obviously, this was composed by somebody who does not have a good command of the English language. So I would have to say this one probably started in Russia or China. But I can't say for sure. But of course, I did a Google search. And this came up. A massive phishing campaign reaching tens of thousands of inboxes impersonated the Mackenzie Bezos Scott Grant Foundation, promising financial benefits to recipients in exchange of a processing fee. So there you are. You're going to get to receive this, but you're going to have to give them an advance fee. That's sort of like those Nigerian prince that's going to transfer millions of dollars to your account and you get to keep 60% of it once he gets to this country. I mean, it's a new variation of an old scam is what it is. And, if it walks like a duck and talks like a duck, you know what I mean. So I went a step further and I found this article, which was written back in March of this year, saying that this is a scam. Fraudsters are dangling fake donations in billionaires' name. Here we go again. And I mean, there are people out there who will fall for this, because this one actually seemed a little bit more polished. I know people fell for that Nigerian millionaire thing left and right when it first came out, but that was in the early days. That was even before there was such a thing as YouTube, there was such a thing as Snopes. There were no real ways to fact check these things, but you would hear reports on the news about these scams, which gave rise to websites which will do fact checking, and the fact checking in this one is that this is a scam. Now, this was from a website called Iron Scales, which does research into scams, and they do internet security. And it says the fraudulent messages reached at least 190,000 mailboxes. And the message purports to be from the charity organization saying that the recipient has been selected to receive a grant. Now, according to the article I read, Iron Scales believes that the campaign targeted victims that would have reason to believe the message is due to their involvement in the charity sector. However, this was the only element of complexity, as seen in the screenshot above, and I'll be showing you that in a second. There is no challenge in spotting irregularities in the messages. Sender's name appeared as Mackenzie Scott Grant, but return address was to the domain mintme.com. Okay, now mine was to a different one. Multiple grammatical errors in the email body. Sender's name and signature are different. So let's have a look at that, shall we? Now, this is almost identical to the email I received. A little bit different, but pretty much the same message. Reply with your full names and address, again down there. And also it says will help random selected individuals, but there are some grammatical errors, some spelling errors, and some syntax errors, which is always a red flag. But once you send this in, they're going to send you the next email asking you for a small processing fee. And once they have that small processing fee, you can kiss their you-know-whats. Now, this is not to say that there are people out there who are actually eligible for the Scott Grant, but more than likely you're going to be receiving a scam email. I mean, apparently Scott announced last December that she'd given away $4.2 billion of her fortune to more than 300 organizations, which included food banks and other charities that help people in need. And now they even say that, ironically, one food bank in Arkansas, which had received an authentic email from Scott about a real donation, initially believed it to be a scam. I mean, this is how bad scamsters are getting. I mean, legitimate organizations that provide legitimate funding for groups. Well, you know, people are so used to seeing these things about free money, money for nothing, money that's going to fall out of the sky and land in your lap. You know, it's just like, just about anything that promises you money from something you haven't heard of before has got to be a scam. And while this food bank was probably wise to take what they heard or read or received with a grain of salt, it is what it is, but unfortunately that food bank apparently did receive their grant. And The Iron Scales goes on to speculate that may have primed the fraudsters to develop a phishing scam, in the hopes that some organizations that they too would believe that they were receiving valid emails. And it says that according to the CEO of Tech Security, Ayel Benishti, I hope I pronounced that correct, 200 of its customers have received fake Mackenzie Scott emails, but none have fallen for the bait. Good for them, I say. So, another scam. Now, whoever is running this one, because it seems legit, I'm sure people will fall for it, and probably more than usual. But money does not fall out of the sky and land in your lap. And never, ever look for get-rich-quick schemes. They are pie in the sky and will actually cost you money in the long run. Now, I recall a conversation I had with somebody regarding Jeff Bezos when he announced his retirement from Amazon. And it made a point that his net worth was $340 billion. That's a hell of a lot of money. And that he thought he could get by on $10 billion for the rest of his life. So he was going to take $330 billion and give it to the American people. Everybody in America would get $1 million from Jeff Bezos. And this guy was already spending the money when I told him, I said, look, if he was to give everybody in America $1 million, that would take $330 trillion. And he said, no, $330 billion, because a billion is a million. I said, no, a trillion is a million. A billion is 1,000 million. So this email was either started by somebody who was math confused or hoping the recipients would be math confused. Now this was somebody who obviously wasn't running a scam, or maybe they were. Maybe they said just, to apply for your $1 million, send us this information, and then they'll send you an email saying we need a processing fee. It could have been, from the same thing. But, the promise of free money, and the more free money, like that one email I got said that I was going to get a stimulus payment of $1.5 million from Nancy Pelosi. Excuse me. I'm getting all choked up thinking about that $1.5 million I'm going to get for my COVID stimulus payment. But anyway, money, I can't reiterate this enough. Money does not fall out of the sky and land in your lap. Okay? Don't fall for these schemes, these scams, these rackets. Okay? I'm going to do my best James Cagney here. Don't be a sucker. If that's my best, you should hear my worst. For Transitions, I'm Sully, the retired tanker yanker. Safe and happy travels.